Here is a presentation about project management approach. It is created by Amy Law based on her education and experience in project management. In the next 20 minutes, we will first provide an introduction about Amy Law. Then we will share with you about her approach on project management and change management. Next, we will show you samples on quality control and timeline with proposed milestone sequencings. Hey, this is Amy Law, your presenter. I have been working in IT for over 20 years in pipelines, energy regulator, oil and gas, utilities, transportations, and telecommunications. I have managed projects for over 15 years in IT applications and infrastructure, system and data migration, cybersecurity, ECM, SAP, process improvement, and office facilities. In terms of education, I completed bachelor and master in computer science from the University of Calgary. I received my PMP in 2006. I also completed certifications in project management, change management, ISO 27001, Information Security Management System, and ITIL. Here is a look at a typical project management approach. We have project initiation, project planning, project execution, and project closure, along with monitoring and control once the project is approved. During the project initiation, we first engage the sponsors and key stakeholders to create a business case. The business case can justify the importance of the project and return on investment. Then we conduct a risk assessment to ensure the project risks are fully understood and can be mitigated. We also take the opportunity to validate the scope and identify any lessons learned from similar projects. Finally, we use the stage gate to ensure the sponsors and key stakeholders are ready to move the project into the planning phase. During the project planning, we first coordinate with the key stakeholders to gather requirements and conduct an assessment to understand the current state and gaps. This will give us an outline of the remediation and high-level work packages. Then, we create a project charter to document the objectives, reasons for the change, benefits of the initiative, estimated budget, target schedule, resources, potential risk, communications, OCM, quality, and procurement. We also take the opportunity to work with the sponsors to identify acceptance criteria, high-level test cases, and preferred deployment strategy. This will help us to confirm a list of mandatory deliverables. Finally, we use the stage gate to ensure the sponsors and key stakeholders are ready to sign the charter and kick off the project execution phase. Once the project charter is approved, we start the project execution. For IT project, we usually organize the project execution into 3 levels: design, build, and transition. The key deliverables include a solution design, solution development in dev environment, and integration testing and UAT in core environment. Besides technology, we work with a trainer and change manager to prepare training and reference materials. Prior to each deployment, we work with the business and IS teams to prepare a cutover checklist and detailed deployment plan. Then, we work with the sponsors and key stakeholders to determine the go, no-go decision. The decision is based on the acceptance criteria. After the go decision is granted, we present the changes in the change advisory board. In parallel, we provide communications, trainings, and reference materials. Finally, we coordinate with the necessary teams to complete the deployment to the production environment. This is a typical waterfall approach. Alternatively, we can easily modify the waterfall approach to a hybrid with agile methodology by setting an iterative planning, monthly backlog, and incremental releases in the project execution phase. After the deployment, we decommission the old technology and processes. Finally, we use the stage gate to determine if the project is ready for closing. In parallel to project execution, we have project monitoring and control. For example, we have daily or semi-weekly Scrum meeting. We established regular project status reporting and steering committee meeting with the sponsors and key stakeholders. On a monthly basis, we update project plan, review schedule and critical path, forecast budget trend, and assess risk and issues. Should there be any adjustment needed on scope, budget, or schedule, we use a project change request to document. We shall proceed to change only after we obtain the change approval from the sponsors. Any changes are recorded to a decision log. During the project closure, we work with the operational managers on transition to operations. We create a project completion report to highlight the accomplishments, realization of the benefit, actual spend, and ongoing operational costs. We facilitate workshops to gather lessons learned, in which we take the opportunity to reinforce the changes as part of the OCM. The project is then closed with the final stage gate sign-off. Here is a look at a typical change management approach. It consists of business readiness and user readiness. And we use the change model ADKAR: awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. In this case, we align the change model to the project phases. Under the business readiness, we first conduct an assessment with the business managers to assess their departmental workload to ensure they can make the priority to participate in pilot testing, deployment validation, and satisfaction survey. For the user readiness, we analyze the complexity of the change and organization's ability to adopt the change. This results in a recommendation to structure the appropriate change management plan. We also review previous change management work to highlight risk and gaps. Based on these findings, we develop or update adoption strategy and roadmap, and we provide communications, training, and reference materials to enable user adoption and transition. For IT project, we usually select champions or subject matter experts to provide technical support in addition to the direct hotline to service desk. To ensure smooth OCM, we develop or update comprehensive integrated plans for sponsorship, communications, training, resistance management, and recognition. Here is a list of sample activities in the change model. We always like to use the intranet to initiate the awareness of the upcoming changes and build up the desire to change. We schedule face-to-face meeting to promote changes and deployment strategies. We email users to communicate the specific deployment schedule and actions. In return, we collect feedback and make incremental adjustments. If resources are available, we phone users prior to a system upgrade and ensure coordination is solid. It is critical to provide training and online references. For example, we create a one-pager to showcase technology upgrades in the meeting rooms and another one-pager to showcase new Teams features such as how to use voicemail. Service desk plays a very important role. They set up hotline with a specific queue for IS support. In some cases, we have a Genius Spa for in-person visit. For senior management, we can provide white glove support for one-on-one assistance. In addition, we can identify business needs and executive admins as the change champions. Finally, we monitor KPI and we enforce changes through incremental adjustments. Here is a picture combining project management approach and change management approach. Here is a sample on weekly test dashboard. We use the office conference room upgrade as the project sample. The table includes office conference room information, such as their floor, room number, room type, number of tests planned, number of tests passed, and percentage complete. The most important point here is that the table summarizes the number of tests planned and number of tests passed for each conference room, so we can easily spot the percentage complete on the testing. Now we will go into the next level down to the test script samples. These test cases align to the requirements collected from the project planning phase. For example, we focus on physical installation, occupancy sensor, room booking panel, and Polycom. Under the physical installation, we can check, is the cable management completed properly without messy cabling? Can a cable be retracted? Is the copy power available? Is there an Ethernet cable connection? On the right, we have a list of office conference rooms under each floor. We can easily indicate which test script passed and which test script failed against each in-scope conference room. We use red color to highlight the failed test cases to draw appropriate attention. For a more complex office conference room, we have additional test cases. In addition to physical installation, we can validate the TV display and room computer. For example, is the TV display showing the room number and its IP address? Is the TV display showing the correct date and time based on the time zone of the office location? Is the image fit the screen with standard resolution? Is the room computer located in the correct and accessible area? Is the computer power on showing the login page? Is the room computer projected correctly? We can also focus on video conferencing. For example, we can validate the system to ensure it can log into Microsoft Teams, show schedule listing on screen, leverage touch panel to control booking, adjust volume control, validate camera setting, and use touch screen functionalities in addition to the computer keyboard and mouse. Finally, we can validate the HDMI presentation, room control, booking panel, and touch screen. The test result will be reviewed with the key stakeholders and sent to appropriate resources for fixing. For example, issues about the physical installation will be sent to audio and video team, whereas issues about the Polycom configuration will be sent to collaboration team. Here is another sample on weekly test dashboard. We use the Microsoft Teams upgrade as the project sample. Specifically, the table is showing the ability to add inbound and outbound calling and voicemail to all staff in the company. The table includes the department participating in the upgrade, along with their VP name, manager name, number of accounts in the department, number of Microsoft Teams accounts deployed, and percentage complete. Through the table, we can easily identify the percentage complete on the deployment for each department. More importantly, we can engage the appropriate manager and VP to reinforce the upgrade for their department. Now, we will go into the next level down to showcase test script samples. These test cases align to the requirements collected from the project planning phase. For example, we focus on headsets installation, inbound calling, outbound calling, long-distance calling, volume control, camera setting, and voice message to email. We can easily indicate which test script passed and which test script failed against each in-scope individual. We use red color to highlight the failed test cases to draw appropriate attention. The test result would be reviewed with the key stakeholders and sent to appropriate resources for fixing. Here is a summary for deployment and proposed timeline with a typical milestone sequencing to add new Teams features. We first identify the current state and requirements. It is critical to agree on a list of user accounts to be upgraded with the prioritization showing which user groups will go first and their main concerns. Then we validate each user account using specific test scripts. Next, we start the pilot. We fine-tune the deployment plan based on the pilot result. We repeat the incremental deployments until all users have transitioned to Teams. To support the deployment, we execute a series of OCM activities, including communications, training, reference materials, support, and feedback. Thank you very much for your time. Please contact me for additional project management templates and samples. Here's my contact information.